Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Trevor Sones with BigCatCountry.com.
And listen to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. Speaking of knowing ball, going to this front office that's known balls in ways that just hasn't happened lately until this past year. Another fascinating thing developing in the chamber here. Jake Bobo, before we get into our breakout tiers, by the way, which, listen, I'll even quickie. We're going to do a whole tier list thing. It's going to be great. We're going to go through the players that could break out and their likelihood in doing so in our opinion. But before we get to that, Jake Bobo, Travis, talk to me.
Brother, we wrote about it on BigCatCountry.com, and for those of you who maybe just had family, obligations that they had to go through, or just fun things that you just had to get into, because it's the off season. I get it. Hey, Jake Bobo, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver, was signed to a $5.5 million, 2-year offer sheet. For those of you guys who don't know, he is a younger, I say younger, he's like 26, 27, big body, 6'4", 206 pounds, red zone target, a lot in that same frame as Tim Patrick, basically. Blocks well on the perimeter, essentially a Tim Patrick replacement after losing Tim Patrick and De'Ami Brown in free agency. He also plays a lot on special teams, and they also lost Dewey Winger. So that's kind of where we are with him. Overall, if you've seen his stats online, it's not something that jumps off the page, but he's exactly in that Tim Patrick role. They obviously know that they need someone like that on the roster. That's Geno Smith throwing. So if you know how long ago that was, a few years. But again,
how
big
long
body
ago it
guy.
was. That catch in 101 coverage tight like that is awesome. Little toe drag swag. Okay.
They had to review it, but it counted. I mean, this is just one of those things. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars need that big body guy on this roster. And the contract's not something that's going to knock your head off. And most importantly, we'll get to the stats in a little bit, just kind of show you guys how and why maybe he would have chose to sign an offer with the Jaguars. And it's one of those weird things where it's not an official signing because he's not a prototypical free agent. He is a restricted free agent for the Seahawks. Let's get into the specifics, Joe. So Albert Breer is one of the first people I saw specifically that pointed out the specifics of the contract that was offered. And it's a 2-year, $5.5 million offer sheet. 4.5 million guaranteed, with a few different, the 1.75 million signing bonus. I'm not going to go through all the specifics, but overall he has $1.5 million in incentives that if he were to able to reach them, that kind of puts this up to a max value of around $7 million. I thought it was funny that they put 25 catches as the barometer, to get that $150,000, because in his best year, his rookie season, which was 2023, he had 25 targets. So this is just a guy who just hasn't had the snaps, hasn't had the routes, hasn't had the reps to be able to kind of prove himself, if that makes sense, and kind of getting over his slower 40 time. I mean, he ran like a 4.99 at his pro day coming out. So it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, I get why in that Seattle Seahawks wide receiver room he hasn't had the stats, he hasn't had the options, but I also get why he might have signed in Jacksonville. And not to overtalk this thing, but I want to just he ran 58 routes last year in 2025. 148 offensive snaps. He was only targeted 5 times, and that's including the playoffs. So 4 catches, 53 yards, 1 touchdown, both the regular season and the postseason, but 33 yards, 1 touchdown came in the postseason. So it's a small sample size, but he did lead the league, lead their team in targeted separation, 4.1 yards.
Which was something you brought up a lot with DG and the separation anxiety episode. So I know that's a big thing there too. And personally, I like the Zay Jones style one-on-one catch there. Something this group has missed, one could argue, since Zay Jones was last year in the previous regime.
Marvin Jones Jr. Yeah, those types of guys. Greg Cross says Bobo equals Joey Jurvelicious.
For former Tampa Bay Buccaneer receiver Joe Jurvelicious. I don't think it's a perfect 1-to-1, but I could argue it's in the spirit of that player. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one in a long time, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but it's an interesting point.
So he means obviously you're in that Seattle Seahawks wide receiver room. You're behind Jackson Smith and Jake, Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed. You're not
They
going to
just
get
ran
very
out
many
of room
starts.
in there. Like, I can imagine there were a lot of hugs and stuff. Hey, man, good luck. Go get yours,
So this is a weird one though, because again, even Torrey Horton and Cody White got more snaps than Bobo, and that's where I'm like, I can see why he would have signed to go somewhere else, even if it ends up being technically for less money. I say technically because again, I'll talk about that in a second. But like, yeah, even Torrey Horton and Cody White ran more routes for Seattle, had more snaps than him. And as you can see, the 2023 season was his best season, his rookie season in Seattle. Then it kind of just is going slightly down every year since then, as they've kind of continued with the different offensive coordinators and things like that. So it's quite possible that maybe he just feels like he will be better served in a different scheme like Liam Coen's. And you know who else was also his offensive coordinator back in 2023? Shane Waldron.
Isn't that fascinating?
Jaguars passing game coordinator. So that's a guy who knows who he is, who used him pretty well in his rookie season. Maybe has some visions of what he would be. Shane Waldron's no longer in Seattle. Now he's with Jacksonville. It's quite possible that maybe he got Shane's stamp of approval in this signing. It actually kind of makes sense for me.
And let's get some other cats in here making some good points. Channel member Social Alki, he's a guy who you can field on special teams immediately. Bringing up a special teams point is fascinating, and doesn't affect your draft plans. Storm the Desert jumps in.
Yes.
Yeah, the ultimate Coen guy, best blocking receiver in the league, he says, catches everything, and is a contested ball catcher, a la Keeping Up with the Joneses. On that particular piece there too. So yeah, that's what we're looking at as well.
And he doesn't impact your cotton picks.
Yeah,
that's the other part. He's a restricted free agent like Chris Rodriguez, so he doesn't impact your comp. I mean, you heard James Gladstone say it directly. He didn't want, like, he was trying to make sure he hold on to those Greg Newsome, those Devin Lloyd, those Travis Etienne 2027 potential comp picks that we have looming. Well, he's a restricted free agent, so just like Chris Rodriguez, he doesn't put those at risk by signing a guy like this.
And another guy, and another person in the comments with Robert pointing out Bobo is in the run game, is the run game secret. If you're talking about draft picks not getting spent, you've heard me these past few weeks since the mock draft leading into the combine with Jamal St. Cyr, that I've been pounding the table for a tight end. What I think is actually happening in the front office is that they're going to get the tight end they want if he's there, and if not, they have a backup plan, which I find a fascinating concept.
Yeah, and then everybody keeps talking about the money now that we finally know the numbers, because again, the Seahawks, despite what I just showed you as far as the stats, as far as the snaps and everything else going down year by year for Bobo, they still offered him $3.5 million the right of first refusal tender. So they obviously see the need to have him on the roster, just like the Jaguars obviously see the need to have a guy like that on the roster. Well, honestly, the money is irrelevant. Like, it truly is irrelevant. And I don't mean to say that as like it's not my money, kind of one of those thought processes. I mean to say it seems to be the exact same money that the team was paying to Tim Patrick. Like, people are looking at $5.5 million. No, it's $5.5 million over 2 years. And Tim Patrick was making $2.5 million. That was his contract from Detroit when they signed for him. That's basically $5 million over 2 years. That's not, and they didn't have to trade for the guy. They traded a 6th-round draft pick to get Tim Patrick in Jacksonville. So like, they can get the guy for no cost other than the actual, basically, $2.75 million a year. That's nothing, brother.
No, I can't front on any of that. This is one of those where we're going to be paying attention to it, assuming Seattle, well, actually, as to whether Seattle responds or not with the whole restriction concept.
That's the question. Because I asked some Seattle fans, and I was in a Seahawks Twitter space late last night, because of course I was. Anytime we have a guy come from another different team, I'm listening to what the other fan base says, right? And some people were asking, like, hey, why would Bobo even accept an offer sheet that pays him less in 2026? There's one of the questions that was asked. I didn't answer because it's not my space. I don't step on toes.
Well,
because
there's no state tax in Florida. There's that.
Ooh, that's a fair point. That's a good point.
I mean, hello, did we learn nothing from Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, no state taxes. That's facts. I forgot about that piece. But there's a few reasons. One of them being no state taxes versus Seattle.
And in your Seattle, I'm pretty sure they have city tax there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
so he had a guaranteed $3.5 million with Seattle, and just a guaranteed 4.5 over 2 years in Jacksonville. But in the words of a former NFL agent, always look at the guaranteed money. 4.5 is bigger than 3.5. I don't care if you get it now, you're getting it later, you getting it. That's the biggest piece, because the other money can always be funny like that. Don't ask about AAV. Don't ask about the total contract numbers, because some of that money just be funny at the end of the contracts.
And to a lesser extent, if this offense, if this system, if this situation hasn't at least shown evidence this past year that a lot of people get their hands on the ball, even without injuries before they take place, this 25 catch thing is going to get blown out of the water quickly, right? And I get that part's only 150,000, but as you go down the line and as you read the rest of that piece, I think you got rid of that. You already got rid of the graphic.
Oh, I got you.
But as you went down the line, I don't know those who noticed as there were more catches, as there was more yardage. There you go. I saw the wrong thing. Perfect. So like I'm doing the math here. If he gets over 35 catches, now it's 250 incentive. If he gets more than 350 yards with the two combined there, now it's another 250 incentive. Travis, we're up to almost like nearly $1 million if he gets over 350 yards and
750,000 in 2026, 750,000 in 2027. Yeah.
There you go. So that's nothing to sneeze at either. And it affects the cap just a little less.
You're not wrong, though. But this is my biggest takeaway from this. And this is what I'm shocked. And I'm always shocked when I don't hear something in Jaguars media, because I listen to like everybody. I try to make sure I'm not repeating what other guys are saying, unless it's just, hey, we got a common thought. It is what it is. But generally, I like to know what people are talking about in these streets, via Big Cat Country, via the socials, everywhere else. But this is weird. My biggest theory, I guess, my biggest takeaway from the Jake Bobo offer sheet situation is something that I think could favor the Jaguars moving forward. I think public perception around the league has shifted in reference to the culture for the Jaguars. Like from the things you heard at the combine to what we've heard from free agents who want to play in Jacksonville, like actually want the team to trade for them, to what we've publicly heard from guys who even left the team, like Travis Etienne, Devin Lloyd, and De'Ami Brown. Like they all have positive things to say about what's going on in Duval. Like that doesn't mean that the Jaguars are going to be able to win every negotiation or every free agent acquisition, because of, this tight cap space situation. Money still matters. But it does mean that they will have the edge when attempting to sign like certain guys, like certain types of guys, if that makes sense. Like guys who may have been
at Jacksonville now in a way they hadn't before, right? And that first domino was getting Peter Baelish, aka Littlefinger, aka Trent Baalke, out the door to cast that first domino to get a player-friendly house in order in that front office. And you're seeing that reverberate.
I'm thinking about the opposite of everything we used to talk about with Trent Baalke, how they were bringing in guys and specifically saying that they were depth when they signed them. And I'm like, yo, that's not how this thing should go. It's supposed to be competition every day of the week. Like you make guys feel uncomfortable to make them better. But like guys who may have felt held back by their original draft picks, that is, like undrafted free agents and things like that, guys who had to deal with bad NFL politics, or, maybe, guys who just feel like they hadn't had their fair shake in the NFL, even dealing with GMs and coaches fighting or whatever else. It's going to allow Jacksonville to get a lot of those buy low free agent options, in my opinion. Those guys who are truly like underdogs. They saw what happened in Jacksonville in 2025, and they think, you know what? I could do what fill in the blank guy did. Like there's a list of these guys. Like just give me a second. Let me set this up. You got Cole Van Lannon, proved himself when no one thought he was going to truly be able to have a real reason to prove himself in this 2025 Jacksonville Jaguars roster. Parker Washington on the verge of getting probably paid from the Jaguars, or if not paid from somebody else, in a room that featured Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. and all these names, and he is the one that shows out. Monteric Brown, Dennis Gardeck against a rookie, being signed to a very small contract while coming off of injury. Tim Patrick played significant snaps, man, after being traded for a 6th-round draft pick. Dewey Wingard played significant snaps despite they drafting a guy who got injured, but it was open competition everywhere around the roster. Even the Diami Brown signing, which didn't work, which is very comparable to this. It was a buy low signing, giving a guy a chance to truly bet on himself. And that's exactly what I think this is. Just the kind of guy who would want to come in, play in this offense.
Man, you said it quite beautifully there. And by the way, I appreciate you resisting the urge to bring up that Cardinals catch when you mentioned Tim Patrick earlier. Anyway, yeah, and he's combined his screen names. I like it. Florida made Topo.
Florida made Topo.
Wyatt Milam is my dark horse breakout player of the year, and he's going to start in training camp, taking the right guard spot from Patrick McCarthy. We'll get into that later. I didn't know you were going to go all in quite that far. I would have saved it for later. There was another comment I wanted to hit that made me laugh. John G. Bro, did Frank direct that at you? Listen, I appreciate you being concerned for my well-being, John G. I am not that damn famous yet. No, that was not me. He in the full context of that clip was him basically offering up what he gets on social media when he makes a take.
Yeah.
That is a dramatization of people coming at him. He's not coming at anybody. Certainly not me. To be clear, shouts to Zenith, channel member in the comments. Good to see you jump in, bud. Social Alki, let me pull in his comment. I hit the wrong button. Poop. There we go. Jimmy Stones, King of the South. I don't think that's a incorrect take. Although he, whether that part of the state is Southern Georgia or Northern Florida could be debated by those who don't know better. But that's a whole other question. Storm asks, this is interesting before we get into the breakout tiers, is this the best blocking skill position group in the NFL? Well, that's interesting.
Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, absolutely. BTJ is
he's all right.
Yeah, he is this. But I'm not trying to shame the man. I'm saying that's not his game.
No, it's not his game. And usually he's so far down the field. When he's in an opportunity, the block, he'll have the advantage of the element of surprise.
But so Strange, Quentin Morris. I mean, that's actually reasonably fair. That we can talk about the offensive line. Then but skill position groups, I think we might be on to something.